Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, we're going to start on a new strand. And so our first topic on this strand is virus. So, virus is a subcellular form of life. Right? It's known as a subcellular form of life. Can you, anyone of you name some virus that you know of?
Coronavirus,
Thank you, can I? Coronavirus. Anyone?
HIV.
HIV virus, yes, HIV is a virus. Any other virus that you guys know of? Anyone? Yes, influenza is one virus that is common. It causes the common cold. Yeah. So another question I would like to ask: is virus a non-living thing or a living thing? What do you guys think?
Living
Okay, why do you think it is a living thing? Okay, so there's a, what do you want to say, Natasha? What do you think? Every answer is correct. No worries. Okay, so there is something unique that we're going to figure out about virus today. Yeah? So virus, um, it has features of both living and non-living things. So we know that non-living things are things that do not breathe, do not move, or stuff like that, unless it is physically moved. But like on its own, it cannot um, function. So viruses they show both living and non-living features. So the living, like living things, virus they contain nucleic acid such as DNA and or RNA, but like non-living things, they are unable to reproduce by themselves, and so they require a host so that they can be able to reproduce it. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what are some properties of virus? Um, I've mentioned some property already, but so excuse me. A virus, it has no cell components. So, for example, bacteria, they have a nucleus, they have like um, cytoplasm, they have ribosomes, they have basically they have organelles, right? But viruses, they don't have any um, organelles, they have no cell components. They cannot move or grow independently. They can only reproduce inside the host cell, and they have they're made up of two main parts, which is the protein coat and the DNA. That is what virus is made up of. They're really very tiny. We could never see viruses with our own naked eye. We can only see them through. We can't even see them through the common microscopes that we use in the lab. We can only see them through the electron microscope. So very powerful microscopes. That's how we can see viruses. Okay, so let's talk about the structure. So viruses are very specific to their host and the cells that they can infect. So they won't attack with any cells. They are specifically um, configured to a special cell. Right? So as you can see here in the diagram here, this is basically what a virus diagram looks like. So this is its head, and within the head is where its DNA or its RNA located. So this is the genetic material that is of the virus that will be inserted into a bacteria or a chromosome or something. Yeah, a cell basically. So even though they have no independent like they cannot reproduce on their own. Um, Over time, once they evolve, they can change. Yeah? They can change over time. This is due to the replication of their host or things like that. It can change the mutations in the genetic material here. So usually, when a this is called a virus, viral phage. This virus, when it attacks a cell, it usually uses the tail fibers to attach onto the cell, and then the tail sheet would be it acts like a syringe that it penetrates the cell wall of the bacteria, for example, and then it will inject its genetic material inside. Is that clear? Yes. Okay. On that note, we're going to talk about the reproduction cycle of virus. So viruses, they take on two types of reproductive cycle. So outside of the cell, basically they're just like inert particles. They're like nothing without the cell. Eh? So they'll just like they like crystallize things and just float around and stuff. So during the lactic cycle, reproduction occurs when the occurs within the cell, and once the end of the lactic cycle, the host cell will eventually die. Yeah? So the lactic cycle produces new phages, and it breaks open the host cell wall, releasing the new viruses, the progenies. So this phage that reproduces only by lactic cycle is called a virulent phage. So this is really very dangerous to the whatever cell that the host is inside, because obviously it'll kill the cell at the end of its reproduction cycle. Right? So, for example, in the lactic cycle, this is the virus. Once it attaches to the bacterial chromosome, it then injects the DNA material is engulfed by the. So, for example, this is the DNA material of the virus. Eventually, it'll from here, it'll go to it'll go for the lysosomal cycle or the lactic cycle. If it comes through the lactic cycle, and then it comes to the stage where it's called lysolysis, where in this stage, the new genetic material will create viruses and it will replicate itself. So you can see from here, it's just only one end. By here, it's already like four of them. Eh? So it increases in so once they are ready, once they come onto maturation stage, they will eventually just break the whole cell wall of the bacterial chromosome, and then once they burst open, lysis they call it. Once they break open the cell, this whole cell dies, and then these little progeny viruses will go and infect another bacteria. So that is how basically what happens in the lysogenic cycle. So let's talk about the lysogenic cycle. So in the lysogenic cycle, the production doesn't immediately occur. However, the viral DNA would sorry, the viral DNA would integrate itself to the DNA of the bacterial chromosome. So once it integrates itself there, once this it wouldn't kill the bacteria. However, once this bacteria replicates itself, it goes through reproduction. It replicates itself. It produces. It replicates also the genetic material of the virus. So now two of these cells would have the virus, and then it comes to this stage where it's called one. Oh, sorry. One is sometimes this cycle is called dormancy. Yeah? So it wouldn't happen like immediately, but it will take time. So sometimes down the line, this bacterial chromosome would go through something they call gene recombination. I believe we've already covered gene recombination. It is when like the chromosomes they switch the alleles and they recombine. Sometimes when they do that, it brings the cycle into this stage again, and then eventually it'll go through the lactic cycle and kills the host cell. So either way, the virus still kills the host cell, except but lactic cycle it does it immediately, and then this one it takes time. Is that clear? Okay. So as I already talked about the reproduction steps, the first step is attachment. So the virus attached to the host cell, and then the second step is penetration, where the virus is engulfed by the cell. The second is biosynthesis, and then maturation and release. Is everything clear? Anybody lost? No? Okay. Okay, so what are the types of viruses? In our level, we're just going to talk about two types of viruses, which are bacteriophage. These bacteriophage are viruses that infect bacteria. So, for example, T4 bacteriophage, it specifically infects the E. coli bacteria. Another type of virus is retroviruses. Retroviruses are RNA viruses that have a DNA stage. So basically, what they do is they convert the RNA into DNA, and then they insert the DNA into the host genome or DNA. Yeah? So this type of viruses is called HIV. Yeah? This is an example of a retrovirus. So this is how people are usually killed from this virus because it insets the sorry. The example is HIV virus. So the HIV virus is eventually, if it's not treated and stuff like that, it convert its RNA into the DNA, and then it will be inserted into our DNA if you have the virus. So additional information. This is not in your textbooks, but I want you guys to know since we all know this famous virus. What is it? Yes, COVID-19 virus. COVID-19 virus is also RNA virus. However, it's not a retro virus. So once it's inside the host cell, that is us, yeah, its RNA is directly read by the ribosomes to make viral proteins, but it does not integrate itself into our DNA. Is that clear? Yes. Okay. Okay. So we all know that virus is a bad thing, yeah. But obviously there are some importance of virus that we use in our day to day. That is the, for example, the preparation of vaccines. Yeah? This is for diseases such as smallpox, chickenpox. Anybody here has chickenpox before? Okay, can I have chicken? Oh, another satu. Yeah. So chickenpox is also caused by a virus. Polio, mumps, they have been controlled through vaccination. This is due to the fact that they took some weakened part of the virus and then they would inject it to our body through the vaccination. They would inject it into our body, and so our body, the immune system, would recognize this weakened part of the virus, and they will know when we are attacked by the real virus later. They would know how to fight it later. So it helps the body to fight the virus because um, our immune system already produces antibodies and memory cells to fight the virus, and that's how vaccination is done. Okay, so another is controlling harmful and insects or some viruses are used to control pests. So if there's like an outbreak of pests to in the farm or something, they would use virus to kill the pests to contain the outbreak. So virus is also used in the labs for genetic engineering, and it plays a vital role in the evidence of evolution as well. Its ecological importance is it is essential to saltwater regulation and freshwater ecosystems. Um, so there are a lot of microorganisms in the freshwater and in the marine life that constitute like 90% of the biomass of the sea. However, 20% of it is killed off by the virus. For example, sometimes there are some very poisonous algae, and so once they bloom, they release some very poisonous substances that if us humans breathe it in, it will kill us. However, viruses have been known to kill off those type of poisonous algae in the marine life. Is that clear? Any questions? Okay. Moving on. So, what are some of the harmful roles of viruses? We know all of us get sick from virus. So, different diseases such as the cold, the mumps, polio, yellow fever, HIV, coronavirus, all of that are caused by attack of a virus. It also destroys a lot of um, bacteria, healthy ones for that we human being need. And so in plants, it is spread by insects and it's responsible for a lot of diseases that attacks plants as well. Okay, let's do some self-test. Our first question is what makes a virus unique? Hands up. Okay, can I? It's a living and non-living thing. Thank you, can I? So a virus is it has the features of a non-living and a living characteristics. Yeah. Okay, we learned that viruses are subcellular life forms, and with the both living and non-living characteristics, we also learn the simple structure of the virus, its head and where the DNA is located, what the tail is used for. We also learn the cycle the viruses follow during their reproduction, and we saw how the importance, the usefulness to us as human beings, and and also their harmful roles in our our health and our ecology and our science. So viruses, even though we learn about, all we know was viruses are bad, they cause sickness, but we now know that there's also some importance of it. Okay, thank you. That's all for us today. In our next lesson, we will talk about cellular organization. So please, I want you guys to copy that down your notes and bring it tomorrow so that we can discuss our notes. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you.